Ah, yes, another family reunion where I am completely ignored, I thought as I sat on the sofa. Granddad sat next to me.
Well, I know that this isn't your cup of tea, so I've got a job for you if you want it.
Sure, Granddad, what is it?
I'll pay you $150 to clean the attic.
I hated family reunions, but little did I know this family reunion would change my life forever. While cleaning the attic, I found a black leather bag. Its zip was rusted in place. I put the bag to one side and continued cleaning, but I couldn't help but wonder what was in the bag. A knock on the door diverted my attention.
It's 10 o'clock. Mom and I are ready to leave. Granddad said you could stay and finish cleaning up if you like.
I'll stay and finish cleaning up.
Okay, I'll be back in the morning to pick you up.
Thanks, Dad. Dad gave a thumbs up sign before he headed downstairs. The next morning, I noticed the $150 on my nightstand with a thank you note from Granddad. I showered quickly before I headed to the kitchen where Granddad was seated.
You did a great job in the attic.
Thank you. Granddad, I found a black leather bag in the attic. Do you know what's in it?
I have no idea, but I hope it's something you could use.
After breakfast, Dad picked me up. I thanked Granddad for everything, grabbed the bag, and hopped into the car with Dad. As soon as I got home, I grabbed a box cutter before I headed to my bedroom. I sat on the floor with the bag in front of me and rubbed my hands nervously. Okay, this is the moment of truth. But first, guys, there's this new game that I've just started playing that is just as exciting as the stories on this channel. It's called Raid Shadow Legends, and if you like action and fantasy, you'll love this game. There are over 600 champions, gens, missions. You can fight players online, build up your champions to defeat bosses, and level up your stats. Use my QR code or links below to download Raid yourself to your mobile phone or PC. Raid has added a super-powered clan boss to their lineup, the Hydra. Whoa, it scares me just thinking about that six-headed beast. It's got multiple different heads, and each one has unique mechanics. It can share the pain and push damage from itself onto your team. It can scare your champions, rot them from the inside, cloak itself in a cloud of poison, and do a ton more crazy things. It's pretty hard to defeat, but once you do, the loot from that boss is out of this world. Also, here's a tip for you guys. Join a clan and fight the clan bosses to get the best weekly rewards. You can thank me later. There's a ton happening in Raid this month. To start off, Raid's releasing a bunch of awesome new champions, along with a brand new faction war script for one of my favorite factions, the Shadowkin. On top of that, there's a ton of New Year events and tournaments, including a special fusion event where you can get one of Raid's newest legendary champions. And if you use my link or scan the QR code right here, new players will get some free resources and a free mystery champion straight away to kickstart your game. Hit my link and see who you'll get. You'll find these rewards here in your inbox for the next 30 days only. And now, back to the story. I took the box cutter and carefully punctured the bag. I gingerly cut below the zip, hoping not to damage the contents inside. When it was cut from one end to the next, I parted the bag and looked at its contents. The bag was filled with stamps. My eyes widened. I was never much of a stamp collector, but anything dating back to 1845 in great condition had to be worth something. I logged onto my computer and began to research some of the stamps. Among them was the inverted Jenny stamp, estimated at $1,351,250, and the British Guiana 1 cent magenta, 1856, estimated at $9,480,000. As I looked through the stamps, I estimated its worth to be approximately $100 million. I walked downstairs, calmly grabbed a few Ziploc bags, and returned to my room. After I repackaged the stamps and placed them in a black plastic bag, I quickly concealed the stamps with the board inside my closet. I arrived home one afternoon to find Mom and Dad in a heated discussion.
Your father has other children. What about Mark or Richard?
Oh, please. Richard doesn't have time. He just became a judge. He's never home, and Mark can't even boil water.
What's wrong with Granddad? My parents stared at me blankly. Mom cleared her throat.
Granddad took a nasty spill at home. The doctor said it's his blood pressure and he needs to be monitored.
I'll go help Granddad.
I don't think that's such a good idea. You have college to consider.
I don't want to go to college.
What do you mean you don't want to go to college?
Mom, I never wanted to go to college. That was your dream for me. It was never mine.
I just think that going to college is better than being your granddad's babysitter.
Mom, you and Dad can either give me your blessing to go, or I can leave without your permission. I'm only 4 months shy of my 18th birthday. It's your choice.
Ruth, let the boy go.
Early the next day, Dad dropped me off at Granddad's. Dad gave me the list of Granddad's medications and the times they should be taken.
Son, I didn't want to do this, but here's $200. Mom said since you want to live with Granddad and not go to college, you'd have to find your own way to survive.
I didn't respond. I jumped out of the car and headed into the house. After I greeted Granddad, I made sure he had everything he needed. Then I found a safe place to hide the stamps, which was under the floorboards under my bed. Over the next few days, I found some odd jobs around the neighborhood, like mowing lawns and washing windows. It wasn't much, but it helped me and Granddad eat every day. After I returned from the supermarket one afternoon, I checked Granddad's mailbox and took the few pieces of mail inside the house. Hey, Granddad, I collected the mail for you.
Thanks, Joel.
I went to the kitchen and packed away the groceries, but when I returned, Granddad had a grave look on his face. What's wrong?
This letter says my house is foreclosed on, but my mortgage has been paid for the past 15 years. I don't understand. This must be a mistake.
Call the bank. They probably mixed up your name with someone else. I brought the phone to Granddad and he called the bank.
What do you mean? What $150,000 loan?
Granddad fumed. After a few minutes, Granddad hung up. With tears in his eyes, he mumbled,
I'm going to lie down. This is just too much.
After Granddad exited the room, I took the paper that he left behind and opened it. It said Granddad had 1 month to come up with the remaining $100,000 or he would have to move. But why is this the first time Granddad received a letter? Shouldn't he have received notifications before a final notice? Just then, I heard rustling outside. I peeked through the windows and saw Uncle Mark closing the mailbox. I watched as he took the porch steps 2 at a time. I shoved the letter in my back pocket before he opened the door and entered.
Did the mailman pass today?
Uncle Mark asked gruffly. I have no idea. I've been inside all day, I lied. Without another word, Uncle Mark left. I knew Uncle Mark had something to do with this. I just didn't know what. During dinner, I told Granddad I had a plan to save his house, and once I got the money, I'd give it to him for him to pay the bank.
Police aren't going to come knocking on my door, are they?
Granddad raised an eyebrow. No, Granddad, everything will be legit. After dinner, I did extensive research on people who could help me get my stamps sold. Finally, I came across the name Samuel Makovich. He had a reputation for being the best of the best. I called Samuel's number and we chatted for a bit. I also sent him a picture of the stamp that I wanted to sell. He said that he would set up the auction, and all I had to do was to bring the stamp an hour before to ensure it was the real deal. He also took 20% of whatever the stamp was auctioned for. Once the phone call was over, I put the stamp back in its hiding place. I returned home from work the next day and entered my bedroom. Something was a bit off. It was the bed. My blood ran cold as I ran to the bed and removed the floorboard. It was gone. All of my stamps were gone. I ran to Granddad. Did anyone visit while I was at the supermarket?
Yes, your parents and Mark were here.
Thanks, Granddad. I'll be back in a few minutes. I took a bus to Uncle Mark's. By the time I arrived, Dad's and Uncle Mark's cars were in the driveway. I crept up to the house and peeked into the living room where my parents and Uncle Mark sat. Luckily for me, the window was open, so I heard everything.
Mark, how could you let it get this bad? You promised you would have it paid off in time. Stop griping. I still have a month. I know my garage will work. It just needs more time to take off. But I have a plan.
I hope that whatever it is, it's a $100,000 plan.
They chatted for a few minutes and Mom and Dad got up to leave. As they exited the house, Mom received a phone call. Uncle Mark waited until Mom and Dad drove off until he removed the stamps he had stolen from the black plastic bag. I watched as Uncle Mark went through each stamp, checked his computer, and took notes before he returned the stamp to the bag. After about 10 minutes, Uncle Mark finally left the room and I slid inside through the window. The stamps were still on the table. I placed them in the bag quickly and tied a knot at the top of the bag.
What do you think you're doing?
I turned slowly, straightened my shoulders, and looked him squarely in the eyes.
Is that so?
I almost didn't see the left jab that came flying in my direction. I was able to dodge the blow by half of an inch. Uncle Mark and I began to fight, and the stamps flew from my hand. Uncle Mark was larger and taller than I was, and he was definitely winning this fight. I watched in horror as Uncle Mark grabbed a bookend and raised his hand menacingly. Suddenly, Uncle Mark was pulled backwards and I heard Dad's voice. I watched as Dad landed a punch in Uncle Mark's stomach and he doubled over in pain. Mom helped me up. "What are you guys doing here?" I asked, one arm wrapped around my rib.
Granddad called and said you left in a rush after you found out we were there. You didn't come home, so we checked here.
Mom said as she held me steady. I scanned the floor for the black bag. When I saw it, I picked it up quickly. Uncle Mark stepped towards me and Dad stood between us. Looking at Uncle Mark, Dad asked,
Joel, is that yours?
"Yes."
Good, let's go.
As we walked down the driveway to Dad's car, Uncle Mark called out.
I hope you find out who your real mother is, like how you found that bag of stamps.
I stopped in my tracks. What did Uncle Mark mean by that?
Uncle Mark is just blowing off some steam.
Mom said as she steered me closer to the car.
We'll talk about it when we get home.
No, I need to know what Uncle Mark meant, now.
At least let's discuss it in the car,
Dad suggested. As we drove away from Uncle Mark's, Dad told me that years ago, when he and Mom were married for about 3 years, they were having a hard time in their marriage because Mom couldn't have children. Dad had an affair and later found out the woman was pregnant. Unfortunately, she died during childbirth. After many months of counseling, he and Mom were back together again.
Son, this isn't really how we wanted to tell you.
I'm almost 18. When would have been a better time for you? When I was standing at the altar on my wedding day? Who else knows about this?
Everyone knows. I was so angry with what your father did that I told everyone, but I begged them not to tell you anything.
For years, I thought I wasn't liked because I was the youngest, only to find out that it's because I'm the outside child of the family. Stop the car.
Now, Joel.
Dad, please stop the car. Dad stopped the car and I hopped out with the black bag in my hand. I walked the rest of the way to Granddad's house, trying to come to terms with the information I just received. When I got to Granddad, I slipped in the kitchen door quietly, not wanting to disturb Granddad in case he was resting. As I tiptoed into the living room to head up the stairs to my room, I heard Granddad on the phone. I was about to greet him, but what he said made me stay quiet.
Yes, my grandson has a plan to save the house. As soon as he gives me the money, I'll purchase our tickets to Hawaii, where we can start a new life.
I slipped out of the house. Does everyone in this family keep secrets? Was there no one I could trust? I called Samuel and asked him if he could pull off the auction in a few hours, and if the buyers could walk with cash. Samuel replied,
There's nothing Samuel can't do. Well, the price goes up 40%.
I agreed, and Samuel gave me the address of where I should meet him in the next 3 hours. I arrived at the auction at the said time and shook Samuel's hand. He took me to his office where he checked the originality of the stamp, and we signed the contract. That night, 4 of my stamps were auctioned, and I made a whopping $7.5 million. After the auction, Samuel escorted me to a hotel he suggested with his bodyguards. He told me that he knew the best real estate agents if I wanted to get a place of my own. He gave me their card, and I thanked him. The next day, I hired Samuel and his bodyguards to escort me to the bank. He spoke with the manager, and my money was placed in a safe, where I and the manager were the only people with the key. On my 18th birthday, I purchased a house from Samuel's real estate agent. It wasn't anything glamorous. It was simple and elegant. I decided to open a business and flip houses, which, by the way, I'm very good at. I was able to open my own bank account, and I went to the bank and told them to remove my name off the accounts with Granddad and my parents. Every month, Samuel and I had an auction until 3/4 of the stamps were gone. I then placed the remaining stamps in a black leather bag and placed it in my attic. I never returned to Granddad's, and I told my parents that I needed time to think. The last time I heard about Granddad, he lost the house and moved in with my parents, and Uncle Mark got into a bar fight, and Uncle Richard sentenced him to 1 year in jail. I thought that family could be trusted, but my family taught me that you can only trust people as far as you can throw them.